like.
So Dino, when did it all start?
Well, it started when I was around 16. I had friends of mine, actually a good friend of mine, his brother was into DJing, and a good friend of mine, was a little older, a guy I knew, and he was into DJing, and I noticed, you know, them DJing, and it just sparked it for me.
And what year is this around?
Probably roughly around 1980.
1980.
Yeah, around 16, yeah, about 1980.
And how long did you do DJing on your own?
Well, I did that, I started that, and I did that for, I started a few years. I say like around 82 is when I really got more involved. I picked up 2 Technique turntables that really kicked it off for me. And from there, I actually started mixing and making mixtapes.
Okay.
And you know, sold it to people in the neighborhood. Yeah,
sure.
Yeah, that was really
the true mixtapes.
The true mixtapes, cassette tapes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's back in cassette days, right?
Yeah.
You know, we had all the hits.
And how did things evolve from there, from DJing? What came next?
I started getting into like freestyle music. Freestyle was great. And in freestyle, there was a lot of multiple editing going on. Guys like Latin Rascals, Omar Santana, Tommy Musto, Tommy Sozi,
Sure.
Carlos Berrios. These were all guys that were doing multiple edits. That was my thing. That was something that I said, I got to get into. So from DJing, I decided to go out and get a reel-to-reel and start editing tape. So what I would do is I would edit my tape, and I would do mixes, and I would start editing. And by listening, I learned. And from there, I would cut beats. You know, I'd rock the reel, find the beat, cut it. So you'd have to actually physically pull out the tape. You make a mark, you cut it with a razor blade. You got a kick. You need a snare. I used to mark it. I put a K for a kick.
Right.
I put an S for a snare. I'd have all these pieces set up.
So that's where the name Dino Blade comes from. The
Hence
razor
Dino Blade. Eventually I said I need a name, and I decided to call myself Dino Blade.
Dino Blade.
That's exactly what I did.
Makes sense.
That's how. Hence Dino Blade came into play. It was awesome, man. I actually loved doing it. You know, it was beautiful, man.
And you knew other DJs, other producers that were doing this as well. Like who were some of your influences for editing?
Guys like Victor Simonelli, Lenny Dee, which is Lenny Dee Desiderio. They helped me with tips on how to do stuff.
Sure.
So from there, eventually I actually started working with Northcomp Productions.
Right. So the whole Frankie Bones era.
Frankie Bones, right. I had Frankie Bones come into play. He did track Gangsters of Freestyle.
Oh, yeah.
Get the Hoe.
Yeah, of course.
Get the hoe, get the hoe. 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 Get the hoe, get the hoe.
And then he also did, we did another track, actually did for him another edit track, Pink Noise, Give Me Energy.
Oh yeah. These were classics. You know, you're talking mid 80s, late 80s into early 90s. I mean, this was the prime era of the house / techno / breakbeat genre of music in New York.
Right. That was a good time. Actually, I remember Tommy Musto actually brought me to D&D Studio.
Oh yeah.
Great place, man. Great studio. Mike Rogers was Mike Rogers, engineer. He was doing a track with his wife, Wendy Rogers, Come On Lover. So I put together a dub version for them.
Right.
And that was, I'll tell you, I really edited my ass off. I got to tell you, man, I had pieces of tape, sections like this, and and going back to that, actually, how I used to do it was we'd have to actually put it together with it was 3M tape I used to use, so you would have to pull it out, right? I went back to cutting, how you would cut your sections, little pieces. You'd have to put it back together with this 3M tape. It was a white 3M tape, and the 3M tape was the tape to use. It worked fantastic. Held the tape together.
And this is taping all your pieces that you cut out. You got to make sure that each section is the same measurement because that's the timing of the edits that you're doing. Make sure the music is on beat.
Right. So if you had I would have a section. Say I have a kick to a snare, and I wanted to make a multi-edit. Like a machine gun, they would say.
Right.
So I would have to record 8 kicks, or I would have to pull out. Say there was 8 kicks, because I would get a reel that were outtakes. So I would take these kicks that were from the outtakes and splice them down. So I would have a kick, say this long, I would actually cut a piece. So that kick would be like a 1/4 inch.
Right.
Or a quarter of the beat, I should say.
Right.
Right? So I would have to have 4 of those that equal the kick. And that's how you would actually get that stutter or that effect.
Sure.
And
it was an effect, but it's also, this is a production technique, and it's like a lost art nowadays,
It's a lost art. It's something that nobody's really doing in their music today.
I think it's a shame, because I think whether you're doing it on reel today, if you want to go old school, or you're doing it digitally, I think that technique and that effect that it's making could be used in music today.
Absolutely, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
It's just something that guys are not doing. I mean, it does get done in a form of with the new electronics. You might hear something that's similar to it, but it's not being done. Obviously
it's
the way
not
it was
the,
done.
the,
It's
like
not
you
the
said,
same.
the machine gun edits. They're not
It's
going
not
on
the
to the
same.
extent that they used to.
And to do it with a block and a razor. I mean, this is and you had to have this mapped out in your head. You had an idea of what you wanted audio-wise. You had this sound that you're going to do, and then you had to transfer it to tape.
Wow.
It was something.
That's amazing. Yeah, and so this went on, and this built into what was the next big chapter for you?
For me, like I said, I did the editing for a while. I did a few tracks. I did a lot of stuff for Northcott. That was like I said, that was Silvio Tancredi owned that along with Tommy Musto. But from there, I wanted to go into production a little more.
Sure.
So I started building a studio little by little, and I started making my own tracks. And those tracks were more on the house side.
Right.
Techno as well.
Right.
So I did house, I did techno. I was very known for the techno, although I did, house as well. But I think the techno side of it, I was known for because I worked with a lot of guys that were getting involved in techno. Again, Frankie Bones, his brother, also as well, was involved in it. Adam X.
Yep. Again,
Joey Beltram.
And these again were guys that were like pioneers of that house / breakbeat / techno era of the 80s and 90s.
Yes, they were
and in New York. I mean, even though they branched out and started going international, but it's kind of started at the Brooklyn. It started in Brooklyn.
It did start in Brooklyn. It really did. We had raves going on, which Frankie did. For great times. I mean, these guys don't know. These guys don't know. Oh, guys, if you were there back then, forget it. It was awesome. It was just great times.
So then production went to.
So I did the production for a while. I was doing stuff like that, and then I actually wanted to create my own label, and I created a label called Playtime Records.
Yeah, I think I've heard of that.
Yes, Playtime Records. We worked on a track together. Brian Tappert put out "Do It."
With Joey Mondonia.
Joey Mondonia. We did that, and we did a remix.
Do It.
Do It.
1993.
93. Yeah, good memory. 93.
Wow.
That was a while ago, So I did that, and it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that because it was my own, my own record label, and I actually from there I actually did another one. I did Dark Black Recordings.
Okay. And how did the two labels differ, as far as content?
Well, Playtime Records really concentrated on house music. Dark Black Recordings was mostly Wild Child.
Okay.
Roger McKenzie, Wild Child. His stuff was a little harder.
Yeah.
Almost like kind of like a Todd Terry sound.
A little more gritty.
But a little more, right. So that was what we focused on for him.
Okay.
And we did that for a little bit. I did a few releases with him, and then we parted ways. Playtime went on for a little over a year, I'd say, a year, and then I folded to Playtime Records, and I just continued to do my productions.
Sure.
and I actually got into the engineering a little more.
Okay.
So I went from there into engineering.
Because by this time you kind of honed your craft and your
Right.
skills, so now you can help other people that are
I helped other
looking
people,
to record.
and that was, I had Adam X come in for a while. He started. That's when Adam X just first started.
Yeah.
And he did a track. He did a track in the studio. We had Jimmy Crash was another guy that came in. Jimmy Crash, Lee Boddix. I did a track with. That came out really good. Those were good times, and I did the engineering for those guys.
Sure.
and I enjoyed doing it. And that's what I did. I rented my studio out, and I was engineering for a while as well, and still doing my tracks here and there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was good times.
Yeah, yeah.
But the editing was the thing for me. I just loved doing the multiple editing.
Yeah.
I actually just enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was just something that I enjoyed.
Well, like I said, I think it's like a lost art, So
Yes, it is.
Hopefully we'll inspire some people by talking about this, and maybe we'll see some multi-edits
maybe
come out in future
Oh,
productions
that would,
for
yes.
some people.
I hope that they would start doing that again. I really do. I don't know if they'll do it the way we used to do it. I'm sure they'll use the digital, but that's okay.
Yeah, but that's all right.
It's fine as long as I can hear something like that. It always excites me.
Sure.
It just always did.
It would be really cool. Hey man, great talking to you.
Yeah, same here.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for interviewing
All
me. I
right.
appreciate it.